And also I will address something to our audience. Som veľmi rada, že zostávate pozorní a s nami stále platí, že sa môžete zapojiť cez aplikáciu Slido. Takže očakávame aj vaše otázky. So let's talk about Austria, about your progress in digital services. Mr. Professor, how do you think the role of the public sector will change in the next 5 years, maybe? Will it act more as a regulator, a service provider, or a platform?
Thank you for inviting me in the first place. And I learned you never should start with an excuse. So let me invite you, the audience, to put questions. I'm open to any question you might have.
Thank you very much.
But I'm not able to speak your language, so it would be very helpful if you put them in English so that I can understand them.
We'll manage.
Or you might translate them. From education, I'm a mathematician. So I have to start with a definition, sort of, which means I have to point out that the public sector is different to the private sector in many ways. The first thing, if you come from the private sector, you can do any business which is allowed. If you come from the public sector, you only can do things that are written down in law that you have to do them. And there's a big gap in between, which means, why I'm telling you that, which means that when it comes to progress and development, the public sector by nature has to be quite a bit more conservative, as it has to wait until law is there. The second difference, if you come from the private sector, you choose your peer group and you try to be the best in that area. You never can do that in the public sector. You have to serve all citizens equal. So you have to turn around your view, and that is, as well has quite some influence on the technology you use, because you have to use a technology the average citizen can use, not a technology which is, for some hype people or something like that. And a third thing was all the time there, but it came to our minds over the last year or so, or last 2 years, in a very rude way, to say. We thought that we can rely on US technology as we want. But now we experience that by some order, every computer in our country could, or at least every Microsoft computer, could be turned off remotely, easily. What does it mean? Sovereignty has an extreme importance now. You might wonder, why didn't I start with AI? As many of these talks today took place. Well, AI is, at first, is a technology which is, on the top notch. So there's the first argument which comes in. And we have to do our homework in many ways. To give you one example, AI, there's studies that AI will change the needs of qualification. It will give less chances for juniors and will have higher demand for seniors. And on the long run, this is a big challenge, because senior you get when you are junior. So the mass you can choose out your seniors from, which is exactly the degree how good your seniors are, will be reduced over the time. And this is something where probably only public sector can do that.
Well, it's happening already, I think.
It's happening. There are studies that this is already going on. This is already going on. The second thing is, I do a lot of experience with AI, like we had coding today. I tried to do coding with AI. And you will see that this is extremely demanding because finding out that there might be some errors. It might be try to ask AI a question and try to ask the same question tomorrow. And you will see it gives you a different answer.
I've tried it.
Public sector is not allowed to have a process that has a different outcome today and tomorrow for you and for me. It must treat equally. And that is, so we have to learn how to do that. It's a very, very powerful, it's a very interesting tool when it comes to language, to translation, what have you. But it's very complicated to understand, which means we have to educate our people to be able to judge where to use and how to use AI and to be responsible for the outcome.
Well, so this is going on now, and how will change the role of public sector in 5 years?
I think it will take at least 5 years until we get beyond the situation that AI is used for language problems like translation, like finding things. It's perfect if you need something very quick, it will go through the internet. It will be much quicker than you ever can be using Google, what have you. So for the next 5 years, I started this morning at home and I double-checked whether I have my driving license and whether I have the car license, because in Austria I don't need that. I have everything on my phone. And for safety reasons, if the battery goes lost, I have a second phone, the private and the...
Yes, we are talking about European digital wallet today, so...
Yes, that is something which will take us the next years. The digital wallet, not only the implementation, but the use. We need, just think about driving license. It sounds easy, but it gets, driving license not only valid in Europe, you can use that outside Europe. It's a different legal space. So you need the driving license, the laws of the driving license to be adopted. You need the infrastructure in a way that the Slovak, the Belgium, the Dutch, and whoever policeman can read the driving license, which is not obvious. You know, you can show a QR code, but what does the policeman do with the card? He said, well, show me your driving license. He's not, in Austria, he's not allowed to. It's his business to do that. And we must lift that to a European level. So the next 5 years will be busy in lifting that to the same level. And we have not only the wallet, we have the single digital gateway, and the once only principle, which will be very, very challenging. And I think this is going to be the task we have to fulfill over the next years.
Well, the next question, what other specific services you think are helping to build the trust of people in state institutions?
Well, I started this job nearly 25 years ago. Next year it will be 25 years that I'm doing this job. And I was asked by the Federal Chancellor in person Austria was the last but one. There was only one nation behind us in the European benchmark. It asked, what can we do to get further up? And I made a concept to get further up, and indeed we made within 5 years. We were in the first place, and we stayed there for years. And what was the key to get there? The key to get there was to have a concept which embraces not only the ministries. So every ministry is a highest organ, so every minister can do what he wants. He cannot, the Federal Chancellor cannot tell you, the Minister of Interior, you have to do that. It's different to France and other countries. So we had to develop a concept that we still level out these different speeds, the different ambitions, in a way that the citizen doesn't recognize that. When have you been the last time physically in an office. I don't remember over the last 5 years that I have been there.
What a lucky person.
And what is the optimum? There's another difference between public sector and private sector. If you are a private company, you must draw the attention of your clients all the time. So you want to occupy your clients. As a public sector, we don't want to steal the time of our citizens, because that's the working time. They could do better things. And they don't have any choice anyways. They can't go to the Slovak government to give him an Austrian passport. Or her an Austrian, but that is not in the European legislation as yet. So the optimum thing is you have to do nothing with government. And in some areas we have done it. If you buy a car in Austria, you don't care about registering the car. You have to insure the car anyway. So we told the insurance company, you do everything with a number plate, with the registering. You put that in the public registers, and people just go to the insurance company, collect their number plate, and drive away. And so this is something we need to get a minimum interaction. That is the goal, sort of the second level. The first level is harmonization, and we did harmonization with the first thing by getting away from paper. And you have to be very careful. The dead-end road sign for e-government is a single piece of paper. If in a process you need a single piece of paper, the electronic government stops, the non-physical appearance stops. So you have to be very careful that there's nothing in your process you still need in physic. Qualified signature, documents, electronic files, and registers, which are available throughout all the communities, the regions, the central government. That is key. And
let me ask you, how do you work with European legislation? Is it more of a barrier, or it's rather an opportunity? How to accelerate modernization?
Let me just after the last, there are a few further, 2 or 3 further points. I just make one sentence. There's the registries, the files, electronic delivery, because if you deliver the rest in paper, and I'll get back to your question in a second. There's electronic payment. There's a big difference between private and public sector payment. I will not dive into that unless you ask me for. And it's the look and feel. You have to, if you go to the internet, you must be very careful that people are not fooled by someone else to give their data. Now, when it comes to your question, how do we work with the EU? The problem is all the sectors, they are at the same level. They work at a similar problem, but they get different approaches. All the member states, they work in the same area. They get different approaches. The EU level can be helpful to level that out. And you, as a member state, you must be careful not to double your effort. First, you make your own approach, and then you make the approach the European Commission wants you to do. The only way to do that is you engage at the EU level. And we have done that sometimes quite successfully. For example, I issued the qualified signature to sign the IDAS 1 regulation electronically. I issued the electronic signature with the Austrian mobile signature system, which is recognized then by the EU people, and you get a voice, and you can put your interests in what you have done already into that process. And what I would say, you have to engage. If you engage intensively on the European level, you avoid lots of work on your national level. But there is one point which is very complicated, which is the parallel approach of different DGs. You have digit, you have DG connect, and they work in the same area and get different approach, and they talk very late, and you have to tell them that ever and ever again.
Well, we have run out of time, but still, let me ask one more question very shortly. Do you have any recommendations or suggestions for Slovakia?
Well, even if Slovakia is not a federal state, you certainly have at the community and very level different approaches, different speed, and what I can, observe from my experience is that it's very helpful, and I think that would also in any country be a great help to get forward, is to have a binding reference, a binding written reference of the key elements, how they are done, because the private sector, each player in the private sector has interest to stay in, to have a lock-in factor. But you as a government, you don't want to have that. You want to be able to switch, you have to switch from one to the other. So having a clear, we called it the Bible of e-government, a clear written document which is binding and valid for procurement is one key element to get forward.
Mr. Professor, thank you very much for sharing your ideas. We are really glad that you are here with us. All the best. Have a nice evening.
Thank you for having me.